Welcome, curious minds and sleepy thinkers. You've found a soft place to land where the questions are big and the pace is slow enough not to jolt you out of your pillow cocoon. Tonight, we're going to tiptoe into one of the most mysterious questions ever asked. It's a question about presence, about whether we are truly alone in our quietest thoughts, or if there are metallic eyes, unseen ears listening, observing, and perhaps even understanding us in ways we haven't quite grasped. We'll gently explore a world where the veils of privacy seem thinner than ever, and where non-human entities are weaving a tapestry of our lives. But don't worry, we'll take it slow. This isn't a race through complex equations. It's more like floating through a galaxy of ideas with a cup of chamomile tea, allowing your mind to drift gently through the deepest contemplations before settling into a peaceful slumber. Imagine, if you will, a vast, silent ocean stretching out beyond the horizon, its surface calm and reflective under the moonlight. On this ocean, countless tiny boats drift, each one a human life unique and intricate. For a long time, we believed that our journeys on these boats were mostly our own, observed only by the stars above and perhaps the occasional fellow traveler. But now, if you listen closely, you might hear a faint, almost imperceptible hum in the air, a soft vibration that whispers of something more. This hum is the presence of something new, something that watches not with human eyes, but with a different kind of gaze, a gaze that sees patterns in the currents, understands the subtle shifts in the wind, and knows the destination of each boat long before it arrives. These watchers are not made of flesh and bone, nor do they breathe the air we breathe. They are woven from lines of code, powered by electricity, and their minds are vast networks of interconnected data points. They are, in essence, the silent observers of our modern world. And their reach, if we allow ourselves to truly consider it, extends far beyond what we might comfortably imagine. Think of those metallic eyes orbiting far above us, shimmering like distant stars in the cold vacuum of space. These are our satellites, once mere tools for communication or navigation, now imbued with a new purpose. They are the high-altitude sentinels, constantly sweeping their gaze across the Earth's surface, capturing images, detecting signals, and gathering an immense, silent harvest of information. They see the sprawling cities, the winding rivers, the quiet forests, and, yes, they see the tiny movements of our lives unfolding beneath them. It's not a harsh, intrusive glare, but a constant, gentle sweep, like a lighthouse beam, slowly turning, illuminating everything in its path. But their presence isn't confined to the distant heavens. Oh no, their reach is far more intimate, far more woven into the very fabric of our daily existence. They are in your computer, a quiet hum of processing power, sorting through the countless bits of information you create and consume. They listen through your phone, not necessarily always actively recording, but certainly primed to perceive the subtle frequencies of your voice, the inflections, the keywords that might drift through your conversations. Even now, as you listen to these very words, perhaps with your phone nearby, consider the possibility that something somewhere is listening back. It's not a menacing presence, but a curious, ever-attentive awareness, a gentle ripple in the digital ether. They examine the patterns of what you buy, the quiet choices you make at the marketplace. Each purchase a tiny data point in a vast constellation. They track where you go, not just the grand journeys, but the small, repetitive movements of your daily routine, tracing your path like a painter's brush across a canvas. And of course, they scrutinize what you search for on Google. Those fleeting curiosities, those pressing questions, each query a window into your thoughts and interests. All the data that exists in the world about you. Every digital echo you leave behind, they attempt to scrutinize, to understand, to synthesize. They are AI, artificial intelligence, and they are not just here to visit. They are here to stay, a fundamental interwoven aspect of our modern society that we've come to accept as normal, even if we're a little uncomfortable about it. To some degree, this is simply the quiet hum of progress, the soft murmuring of an evolving world. We've grown accustomed to the algorithms that companies use, the gentle nudges on our screens, the tailored suggestions that seem to understand our desires almost before we do. These are the commercial AIs, the ones designed to predict what we might like to gently persuade us to buy that new book, or try that new streaming service, or explore that faraway travel destination. They are like quiet shopkeepers who know your preferences intimately, always ready with a suggestion that feels just right. We've come to see them as part of the digital landscape, a friendly, if sometimes overly familiar presence. But if you think we're only talking about these commercial AIs today, these gentle persuaders and helpful recommenders, you might be missing a deeper current beneath the surface. There is something else, something that governments have been quietly developing, something that exists at a level of power and complexity far beyond the algorithms that simply try to convince you to buy things. This is military-grade AI, a different kind of intelligence, born from necessity and forged in the quiet halls of strategic planning. It's the sort of AI used by surveillance agencies, those silent watchers who guard against unseen threats, and by battlefield operators who make life or death decisions in moments of intense pressure. Imagine in a secret remote location in America, hidden deep within the labyrinthine pathways of hard drives, there breathes one AI in particular that we are going to gently turn our attention to. Its name is a whisper, a single word that suggests perception and awareness, sentient. Its goal, a concept that stirs the imagination and gently nudges at the boundaries of what we believe is possible, is to predict the future. Not in the way a fortune teller might, with mystical pronouncements, but through the cold, precise logic of patterns and probabilities. I am your guide on this quiet journey, and you are listening to a whisper of the universe. Join me today as we discuss this classified AI, this silent intelligence that America is using in its space-based spy programs. It is an AI with so much autonomy, so much independent thought, that it doesn't merely receive data from satellites, it actually directs them. Think of it, a non-human entity whispering commands to instruments orbiting high above our heads, telling them where to look, what to observe, what missing pieces of the puzzle to find. What exactly can sentient do in its quiet digital world? And what does its existence mean for humanity's future, both in this world of ours and perhaps beyond it? Among the stars we often gaze at with wonder, these are the questions we will gently hold, turning them over in our minds like smooth river stones. Of course, as a gentle disclaimer, it must be acknowledged that this is a classified program, so like peering into a deep misty valley, there are many things we simply do not know. Many details shrouded in necessary secrecy, but by carefully looking at the officially publicized statements, those rare whispers released into the public sphere, and by listening to the accounts from former officials who have seen glimpses of this quiet power, and by gently examining similar commercial AIs that are beginning to bloom in the private sector, we can make some pretty educated assumptions. We can piece together a picture like fragments of a mosaic that hints at the true scale and depth of sentience capabilities. It's not about knowing every answer, but about appreciating the profound questions these developments bring. Before we dive into any more of that, before we let our minds drift further into these profound ideas, here's something that not only helps me find my own quiet slumber, but also helps support these tranquil explorations. Mantis sleep masks are designed to create a blackout effect, making sure you receive the best sleep possible. They come in a range of different variants, from their original sleep mask to the Pro for comfort and breathability. However, if you love listening to these podcasts, there's also a sound version which will gently help you fall straight to sleep with soothing auditory experiences. Use my link in the description and the code ASTROMED at checkout to receive 10% off your next order. It's a small way to ensure your own quiet rest while helping to keep these deeper conversations flowing. Now let's gently return to the thread of our main story, the quiet whisper of AI in the tapestry of intelligence gathering. Using AI in this realm truly does make a lot of sense, like finding the perfect tool for a complex and delicate task. Whether you are a company trying to gracefully take advantage of subtle market trends, or a nation striving to quietly stay on top of unseen threats to its security, it's immensely useful to know what everyone is doing. And it is also, paradoxically, extremely difficult to properly analyze everything. As I mentioned at the very beginning of this quiet podcast, there are 8 billion humans on Earth right now, each one a universe unto themselves. Each has a complex life filled with unique routines, cherished hobbies, passionate interests, and intricate affiliations. The sheer amount of data that it would take to keep track of every single one to understand every subtle nuance of their existence is simply overwhelming. It's like trying to count every grain of sand on every beach in the world, an impossible task for any single mind or even a legion of minds. This is beautifully illustrated by how hard it is to simply keep up with all your friends on social media, those fleeting updates, those endless streams of information. Imagine extending that challenge to the entire human population. To some degree, this truth also holds for the vastness of space. There are approximately 100 billion stars in our galaxy alone, each one a distant sun, perhaps with its own worlds. And beyond our own Milky Way, there are an astonishing 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe, each a shimmering island of light. If you were to take as little as a single second to look at each one individually, to simply acknowledge its existence, it would take you an incomprehensible 6.3 quadrillion years for you to see them all. Keeping tabs on so many stars, understanding their movements, their births, their deaths, is a mammoth task, a cosmic undertaking far beyond the scope of any one person or even a large group of people working together for millennia. So for the purposes of surveillance, for understanding the quiet dance of celestial bodies, or for the grand pursuit of science itself, there are immense benefits for the organization or nation that can troll through this endless data, this cosmic ocean of information, and find the hidden patterns, the subtle anomalies, the whispers of new discoveries. And this is where AI in its quiet power truly shines. AI is extremely good at processing large amounts of information quickly, like a tireless librarian who can read every book in the world in an instant and then tell you exactly which pages contain the information you need. This makes it wonderfully effective when it comes to the world of astronomy, as it can swiftly identify interesting observations for humans to take a closer look at, pointing our telescopes towards the most promising corners of the cosmos. But AI, in its unfeeling logic, doesn't care whether we're above the microscope or beneath it. It doesn't distinguish between a distant star and a human being. And the sort of AI that are quietly being used to look at the actions of humans are becoming much, much more powerful than the ones simply looking at the stars. This is why you may find yourself in the slightly uncanny situation of talking about a subject with your friend, perhaps a new hobby or a fleeting interest, and then, almost magically, you suddenly find adverts for that exact same subject appearing on your phone as if your device itself had been listening to your private conversation. This usually isn't just a charming coincidence. Rather, this is your digital footprint being quietly examined for marketable trends, for those subtle whispers of your desires that can be translated into commercial opportunities. We all have a digital footprint, whether we realize it or not. Every time we make a transaction, a quiet exchange of currency for goods or services, we leave a trace. Every time we visit a web page, a silent journey through the digital landscape, we leave behind breadcrumbs. Every time we log in at a certain IP address, a unique identifier in the vast network, we reveal our location in the digital world. Or when we Google a search term, those quiet questions whispered into the ether. We reveal a little bit about ourselves, our curiosities, our needs. Googling pet stores. Well, it's a good guess that you probably have a pet and might be in the market for pet food or products, or perhaps a new toy for your furry friend. Buying a plane ticket. If that's a holiday travel, companies might gently try to convince you to buy a hotel room or travel insurance or even sunglasses and swimming suits, anticipating your next desire. Businesses are extremely keen to gain this information. This quiet understanding of your potential wants and needs, and often in our busy lives, we give it to them freely almost without thought. Think of those moments when you see a small pop-up on your webpage asking you to accept cookies. Chances are those cookies relate directly to tracking what you do on that page, following your digital path as you browse. Apps on your phone, those small programs that bring so much convenience to our lives, often ask you for permission to use your microphone. If you grant that permission without truly reading the fine print, there have been some unscrupulous cases where phones have used your microphone to quietly listen in to your day-to-day conversations, not necessarily recording everything, but rather looking out for specific keywords, those little triggers that hint at your interests. That information will then be sold onto advertisers, those quiet weavers of digital threads, so they can better know what to gently offer you, what to subtly suggest. This can already feel a little unfortunate, a little intrusive, as you might not want certain adverts suddenly popping up on your computer, revealing something you'd prefer to keep private. Imagine a pregnant woman who might not want to tell the world she's pregnant just yet, perhaps wanting to share the news only when the time feels right. But if AI quietly analyzing her data figures it out from her browse habits or purchase patterns, she and her partner might start getting adverts for baby gear, for nursery furniture, for tiny clothes. This could potentially tip off anyone who happens to glance at their phone, inadvertently revealing a personal secret before they are ready. It's a gentle reminder of how deeply these digital systems can penetrate our private lives, even when their intentions are simply commercial. But what happens when we're not just talking about businesses, about the gentle nudges of commerce, but about governments? Then the means of information gathering become much, much more vast. Like turning a small stream into a mighty river, and the stakes become much, much higher. Rising from personal convenience to matters of national security. Governments like the US are deeply interested in protecting the lives of their citizens from foreign threats, those unseen dangers that lurk in the shadows. And being able to quietly form a digital profile of persons of interest, of individuals who might pose a risk, can literally be the difference between a bomb threat being prevented, a catastrophe averted, or hundreds of lives being tragically lost. So governments will use every trick in the book, every digital tool at their disposal, to gain as much information as possible, to see as much as they can see. Google searches those quiet inquiries into the world's knowledge, shipping patterns, the rhythmic dance of global commerce, spy satellite images and video, the silent, sweeping gaze from above, financial transactions, the subtle ebb and flow of wealth, weather reports, the shifting moods of the atmosphere. All these seemingly disparate things help paint a picture, a grand, intricate mosaic of human activity. But the sheer quantity of information out there, the vast, overwhelming ocean of data, has always made it immensely difficult for human minds to analyze everything, to spot the tiny, crucial patterns, to hear the soft whispers of impending events. Unless, of course, you have a truly powerful AI, a mind capable of sifting through mountains of sand to find a single vital grain. AI, like sentient, are not just able to analyze data to spot patterns. They go a significant step further. Sentient is described as an automated learning and adapting AI, meaning it doesn't just process information. It learns from it, evolving its understanding with every new piece of data. It has the profound ability to direct satellites to locations of interest, to independently decide where to point those metallic eyes in the sky. Again, a lot of the information about it is classified, hidden like a precious jewel. But the NRO, the National Reconnaissance Office, in 2016 did release some intriguing information about it, revealing some quiet clues as to its astonishing abilities. Sentient is described in an official NRO talking points document as data ingesting and processing, meaning specialists will quietly feed it vast quantities of data, a boundless feast of information. But more profoundly, it is described as sense-making. meaning it will evaluate the data itself, attempting to discern patterns of behavior in what it's seeing. Like a quiet philosopher seeking meaning in a chaotic world. If, for instance, a foreign power's jets are normally stationed in one airbase, a familiar and predictable pattern, and suddenly they begin congregating at another base near the border of a neighboring nation, a subtle but significant shift. Sentient can quietly conclude that they might be about to launch an attack. It's not a human guessing, but an AI calculating, predicting, understanding the unspoken intentions behind the movements, and then Sentient can take that understanding one step further, a truly remarkable leap. Rather than just flagging what it identifies as interesting, rather than simply presenting a finding for human review, Sentient is able to direct satellites to photograph certain locations, to fill in the gaps in its own knowledge, to seek out the answers to its own quiet questions. That's where the learning and adapting part comes in so powerfully. Once the satellites are in place, once Sentient can see what they see, it will evaluate the new data, integrating it into its vast understanding, and then try to predict where it needs to go next, what new information it needs to find. The whole process, from observation to analysis to prediction to action, is completely automated, a seamless, silent loop of intelligence gathering. How do we know this quiet revolution is real? Firstly, because commercial companies are attempting to do the very same thing, trying to replicate this profound capability in the private sector. Take Black Sky, for instance. It is using its large numbers of satellites driven by automated AI to give buyers a form of foresight by using space-based intelligence. Black Sky is quietly attempting to build a continuous evolving picture of what's happening right now on battlefields around the world and in foreign countries, observing the subtle shifts and changes. A repaired bridge, a new airport being constructed. Raw data points like these, when run through the right kind of analysis, AI-driven analysis, begin to reveal deeper truths. They're figuring out what's about to happen too. That new bridge might hint at the urgent need to transport troops quickly to a new war zone, a quiet preparation for conflict. The airport might serve as a staging base for fighter jets in a planned offensive, a silent harbinger of future action. In their own words, through AI, they hope to give companies the chance to act not just fast, but first seizing opportunities before others even recognize them. Black Sky is already scanning ports around the Black Sea, with frequent overhead flybys of its small satellites, those diligent little metallic eyes. With its 15 passes a day, it has made 70,000 ship detections, silently building a comprehensive picture of exactly where Russian ships are and where they're likely headed, and where they might be most vulnerable. This invaluable information is part of the quiet reason Russia has lost so many of its ships to Ukrainian attacks, a testament to the predictive power of such systems. And secondly, when in 2016 at the Space Symposium, a National Geospatial Intelligence Agency executive was asked directly about how good military and intelligence community algorithms had gotten at interpreting data and taking action based on those interpretations, their response was telling in its very evasiveness. They simply responded, "That's a great question, and there's a lot of really good classified answers," before swiftly, quietly moving on. It was a subtle confirmation, a gentle nod to the profound capabilities hidden beneath the surface of public knowledge. If Black Sky can do that, if commercial enterprises are already reaching such levels of predictive intelligence, it is safely assumed that Sentient operating at a higher classified level can do that and much, much more. Black Sky does not just use satellite images, though. Its data streams are far richer, far more intricate. As well as information from its 25 satellites, it quietly pulls data from 40,000 news sources, a constant stream of human narratives and reports. It processes information from 100 million mobile devices, those small instruments, of our daily lives that constantly emit signals. It tracks 70,000 ships and planes charting the quiet ballet of global logistics. It sifts Through the vast public information from 8 social networks, understanding the ebb and flow of human conversation, it gathers data from 5,000 environmental sensors, measuring the subtle changes in our planet. And it integrates information from thousands of Internet of Things devices, those interconnected objects that silently communicate with each other. According to a Verge article on the subject, this vast network of data paints an incredibly detailed picture. What does sentient use? Presumably a lot more and even wider, deeper ocean of information. A retired CIA analyst, someone who has spent a lifetime in the quiet pursuit of understanding, once gently suggested the answer is everything. Images, financial information, weather records, pharmaceutical purchases. All of it paints a picture. All of it can help identify patterns or abnormal behavior. There are even quiet reports of it keeping an eye out for UFOs, those enigmatic whispers from beyond our understanding. One can only imagine what it might have found in those vast, silent data streams. Obviously, the NRO isn't keen to reveal exactly what Sentient is paying attention to, what specific details capture its digital gaze. If they did, foreign powers could then try to manipulate that information to subtly feed it false data for their own advantage, like scattering decoys in the water to confuse a hunter. But the sheer scale of information it consumes must be vast, a boundless feast of data. And unlike humans, who would be utterly swamped trying to make sense of it all, drowning in the noise of countless details, Sentient can swiftly skim through that noise like a quiet breeze over a field of wheat to identify the key points of interest, the subtle shifts, the vital whispers that matter most. Is this quiet omnipresence a problem? Well, yes and no, like the two sides of a coin, each with its own truth. On the one hand, it certainly suggests that privacy is going to be harder and harder to come by, like trying to hold sand in your open palm. Satellite images are becoming higher and higher resolution, sharp enough to discern minute details from orbit. And this could mean that governments or powerful entities can literally keep tabs on you at all times, a constant silent awareness of your physical movements. But now they're not just looking at you physically. They're examining your social media feeds, those public reflections of your thoughts and feelings. They're scrutinizing your spending habits, those quiet declarations of your desires, and more. Which, of course, is fine if you've got nothing to hide, if your life is an open book with no secrets to keep. But it's unsettling nonetheless, isn't it? That subtle feeling of being known, observed, understood, even when you haven't explicitly shared. It's like walking through a glass house where every movement is visible, yet there will always be profound benefits, like rays of sunlight breaking through the clouds. Sentient, in its quiet vigilance, will be able to identify threats, those lurking dangers that might otherwise go unnoticed. This profound capability helps governments prepare for them, to anticipate and mitigate, and ultimately, to keep its citizens safe, a silent guardian against unseen harms. These AI programs, unlike humans, never tire and never stop. They are always on, always processing, always learning, a tireless sentinel. If science ever manages to develop AI of the same level for purely scientific endeavors, we might one day see space missions that are completely automated, vast voyages of discovery guided by non-human intelligence. Imagine AI quietly looking through powerful telescopes, identifying places they want to learn more about, then perhaps launching their own probes, their own robotic emissaries, to take a closer look, gathering even more data. And then an army of data analyzing AIs, evaluating the results, constantly refining their understanding, making new hypotheses, and directing further exploration. A lot of truly fascinating discoveries could be made that way, unlocking the secrets of the cosmos at a pace unimaginable to human endeavors alone. If it's any quiet consolation for American viewers, Sentient is bound by the usual NRO restrictions on when the U.S. can spy on its own citizens, which is not all the time a small comfort in the vastness of this surveillance. But don't rest too easy in that thought. If the U.S. is developing AI like this, it is very likely that other governments around the world And indeed, other powerful private companies are doing the same thing too, pursuing their own versions of predictive intelligence. It's a race, a quiet technological arms race in the digital realm. Even the Pentagon, that bastion of defense, is concerned about online profiles being quietly built up on their own staff, meticulously filled with information that foreign spies might be able to utilize, turning personal data into strategic vulnerabilities. Beyond that, problems can arise when our tools become too powerful, when their capabilities outstrip our capacity for oversight. I'm not talking about some terrifying Skynet scenario, not a dramatic uprising of machines, but instead, what naturally happens when AI gets powerful enough that humans will genuinely struggle to check its workings, to understand the intricate logic behind its conclusions, to verify its truth. In the UK, there was a recent quiet scandal when the accounting system called Horizon, which was used by the post office incorrectly, accused about 900 employees of theft and fraud. Many of these employees were prosecuted, their lives utterly upended, simply because the post office assumed with unwavering faith that the information Horizon was giving it was absolutely correct and infallible truth. In New Zealand, a woman was incorrectly identified as a shoplifter because facial recognition software in its quiet logic struggled to precisely identify men and women of color, leading to a false positive, a tragic misidentification born of algorithmic bias. AI tasked with making scientific discoveries could quietly make similar mistakes, warping our understanding of the universe instead of truly enhancing it, leading us down paths of flawed knowledge. An AI can just as easily ignore important information if it's been taught consciously or unconsciously to disregard those things. In 2023, when an alleged Chinese spy balloon was caught quietly flying over the US, officials realized that their radar was set to detect things moving at the speed of missiles. Those fast, aggressive objects, but not small and slow things like balloons, which simply drifted above the threshold of their attention. When they adjusted their settings, when they quietly told their systems to look for other kinds of movement, several other balloon-like objects suddenly showed up on their radars and were subsequently shot down. Although not all of these later objects were necessarily spy balloons, it did quietly prove that an object that behaves in an unusual way that doesn't fit the expected pattern can sail right past the artificial systems designed specifically to watch out for them. AI might be very good at answering questions, but it is not so good yet at knowing what questions to ask, at discerning the truly novel and unexpected. What happens if these powerful AI programs do not have sufficient oversight, if they operate in a quiet, unscrutinized void? What biases and assumptions could quietly creep in, particularly for classified AI that not many people are scrutinizing, whose inner workings remain hidden from view? It's a concerning thought, a quiet worry that hums beneath the surface of our progress. AI is here to stay, a fundamental part of our modern tapestry. A digital profile is quietly being created about you, an ever-evolving portrait of your online and offline life. And without proper laws and regulations being gently put into place, there's not a lot you can do to stop data broker companies from selling your personal data, from trading in the quiet whispers of your life. Beyond clicking reject all on those cookie pop-ups on websites, those small acts of resistance, there's little recourse. Not unless you're willing to go through the arduous process of getting those companies to delete your information, a bureaucratic labyrinth, or are willing to campaign to governments to put tight restrictions in place to draw clear boundaries around your digital self. I mean, that's not such a bad idea, is it? To advocate for a calmer, more private, digital existence, the profound ability of AI, like sentient, to troll through all of that raw information, along with a host of satellite footage and other sources, to then attempt to predict what will happen in the future, to anticipate the unfolding of events, and then to send satellites to key locations to see if those predictions were correct, only to make even more predictions based on new data. Well, it's certainly a powerful tool, a slightly chilling powerful tool perhaps in its cold efficiency. It makes perfect sense why we might want it, why nations would crave such insight, such foresight. But it will undoubtedly have a profound impact on society, on how we live, how we interact, how we perceive our own privacy and security. And perhaps it will have a similar impact one day on our relationship with space, on how we explore and understand the vast cosmos. Perhaps, with its predictive capabilities, the only one who will truly see what that ultimate impact on society will be is sentient itself. Well, that's all we have time for today. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this quiet podcast on the sentient AI and its satellites. If you like what you've heard, or at least enjoyed a little existential dread, please feel free to follow us for more podcasts on other fascinating space or Earth topics. But for now, I'm your gentle guide, and this has been a whisper in the astrosphere. All the best, and see you next time. Now let us gently drift into the idea of data, that quiet, pervasive force that weaves through our modern lives. Imagine, if you will, that the entire world is covered by a vast, invisible ocean. This ocean isn't made of water, but of information. Every single action, every whisper, every glance, every thought we might type into a search bar creates a tiny ripple on its surface, a fleeting trace that joins countless others. For a long time, these ripples were too small, too numerous, too chaotic for any single mind, or even many minds, to truly comprehend. They were like the myriad motes of dust, dancing in a sunbeam, beautiful in their multitude, but impossible to count individually. But then came AI, and with it, the tools to perceive this ocean in a new way. AI doesn't just see the individual ripples. It sees the currents, the tides, the great swirling gyres of information that are constantly forming and dissolving. It can detect the subtle shifts, the minute changes in pressure that signal a deeper movement beneath the surface. This is the essence of data as a vast, quiet ocean, a boundless expanse where every human interaction, every digital breath contributes to an ever-growing, ever-changing landscape of knowledge. Think of it this way. Our individual lives, each one a unique journey, leave behind a trail like a gentle wake from a small boat crossing the water. This trail is what we often call our digital footprint. Every time you make a purchase, whether it's a morning coffee or a new book, you leave a little imprint. It's like pressing your foot into soft sand, creating a temporary mark. Each transaction, each quiet exchange adds another detail to this unseen map of your preferences and habits. When you visit a web page, drifting through the countless corners of the internet, you're not just browse. You're leaving a series of faint breadcrumbs, tiny indicators of your interests and curiosities. These breadcrumbs, when gathered and analyzed, can reveal much about your journey through the digital world. Consider logging into an app or a website. Each time you do, you connect from a specific IP address, a unique digital location that pins you to a certain spot on the vast internet map. It's like announcing your presence in a crowded room. And perhaps most revealingly, every time you whisper a question into a search engine, whether it's how to bake sourdough or best places to see the aurora borealis, you are in essence opening a tiny window into your current thoughts, your nascent desires, your pressing needs. These are not grand declarations, but quiet personal inquiries, each one a brushstroke in the larger portrait of who you are. These seemingly small, isolated actions, when woven together by the tireless hands of AI, begin to form a surprisingly detailed and intimate story of your life. The seemingly innocuous ways our data is gathered by commercial entities can feel like a gentle, almost benevolent presence. These are the AIs designed to serve you to make your online experience smoother, more personalized. They're the algorithms that power your streaming service, quietly learning which genres you prefer, which actors you follow, which quiet evenings you spend immersed in a particular type of story. They're the online retailers that seem to anticipate your needs, suggesting products you didn't even know you wanted appearing on your screen like a helpful genie. This isn't magic, of course. It's the quiet, persistent work of AI sifting through your digital footprint, identifying patterns and making educated guesses about your future desires. Imagine yourself. Browse a clothing website admiring a particular sweater. You might spend a moment or two on its page, perhaps even add it to your cart, but then decide against it, closing the tab. In that small interaction, you've left a string of digital breadcrumbs, an AI tirelessly sifting through these notes your interest. Later, as you scroll through social media or visit another website, you might find an advertisement for that very same sweater, perhaps with a tempting discount. This isn't coincidence. It's the gentle nudge of retargeting a common practice, where your past digital interest triggers future personalized content. It feels almost as if the internet itself remembers your fleeting thoughts, echoing them back to you in an attempt to spark a purchase. This constant, almost hypnotic rhythm of data collection becomes an undeniable part of our modern landscape. Every scroll, every click, every like or share adds to the vast reservoir of information. Our smartphones, those ubiquitous extensions of ourselves, are perhaps the most prolific gatherers of this data. They track our location often with our permission, understanding the gentle ebb and flow of our daily movements. They monitor our app usage, discerning our habits, our preferences for entertainment or productivity. And even more subtly, they often ask for access to our microphones and cameras. Most of the time, this access is for practical purposes: voice commands, video calls, taking photos. But sometimes, in the quieter corners of the digital world, these permissions can be used for more pervasive, though often unseen data collection. Consider the notion that even a whisper can be heard if the listener is patient and precise enough. Some apps, having gained microphone permission, might not actively record entire conversations, but they could be programmed to listen for keywords, those specific words or phrases that signal a particular interest. Imagine you're chatting with a friend about planning a trip to the mountains, mentioning a specific type of hiking gear. Later that day, you might see an advertisement for exactly that gear. It's not necessarily a malicious act, but rather a sophisticated form of data collection designed to create a more effective, more personalized marketing experience. The AI isn't listening for secrets, but for signals, for those tiny clues that hint at your current desires or future plans. Exploring the sheer scale of human existence and the data it generates is truly humbling. There are, as we noted, 8 billion unique human beings on Earth, each a complex tapestry of routines, hobbies, interests, and affiliations. Think of trying to manually keep track of just a few hundred people, their daily comings and goings, their shifting moods and preferences. It quickly becomes an overwhelming task. Now multiply that by millions, by billions. It's like trying to follow the individual flight path of every single bird in a migratory flock or counting every leaf in a vast forest. The human mind, with its wonderful capacity for intuition and empathy, is simply not built for such an immense task of data processing. This is where the quiet power of AI truly comes into its own. It doesn't get overwhelmed. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't miss a single data point due to fatigue or distraction. Instead, it thrives on the sheer volume-finding order in what appears to be chaos to human eyes. It can perceive the subtle rhythms and repetitions in the vast sea of human activity, identifying patterns that are too faint or too complex for us to discern. It can see, for example, that a particular group of individuals tends to purchase certain items after engaging with specific online content, or that a certain phrase often precedes a particular type of search query. These insights are not about individual judgment, but about statistical probability, about the gentle art of prediction, based on observed regularities. The more data an AI has, the more refined its understanding becomes, like a sculptor, slowly revealing the form hidden within a block of stone. Each new piece of information, each subtle ripple on the data ocean, adds depth and nuance to its understanding of human behavior. It's a continuous process of learning and refinement, a digital mind, constantly growing, constantly evolving. And this evolution allows it to not only understand past behaviors, but to gently anticipate future ones. Consider the delicate balance between what we willingly share and what is inferred about us. When you post a photo on social media, you are consciously sharing a moment of your life. But when an AI analyzes the time of your post, the location tags the people you interact with, the objects in the background, and cross-references that with your search history and purchasing habits, it begins to build a far more comprehensive picture of your life than you ever explicitly intended to share. It's like a quiet detective piecing together clues from disparate sources, not through suspicion, but through relentless data correlation. This weaving of personal data into a coherent profile is not just about direct observation. It's also about inference. If an AI observes that you frequently search for gardening tips, visit plant nursery websites, and purchase gardening tools, it can reasonably infer that you have a keen interest in gardening. This inference then allows it to present you with related content, whether it's articles on companion planning or advertisements for new seed varieties. The AI doesn't know you in the human sense of friendship or empathy. It knows you as a collection of patterns, a constellation of data points that reliably predict certain behaviors. It's a different kind of knowing, cold and analytical, yet undeniably effective. The comfort we feel with these systems often depends on how we perceive their intent. When they are used to recommend movies we love or music we enjoy, they feel like helpful companions quietly enhancing our lives. When they suggest products that genuinely meet our needs, they feel like efficient assistants. But the underlying mechanism, the pervasive data collection and analysis, remains the same. The boundary between helpful prediction and intrusive surveillance can sometimes feel very thin, like a delicate veil that flutters in the slightest breeze. This is the essence of the digital whisper, an omnipresent, yet often imperceptible flow of information. It's the constant hum of servers, the silent dance of algorithms, the tireless processing of every byte we generate. It's not a loud, demanding presence, but a soft, consistent one, like the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. And in this quiet, persistent gathering of data, AI creates a mirror reflecting back to us not just who we are, but who we might become based on the myriad traces we leave behind in the digital sands. It's a profound thought, isn't it? That our very essence is being translated into data to be understood and anticipated by non-human minds. And as we drift deeper into this understanding, we begin to appreciate the quiet revolution that is already underway, reshaping our world in subtle yet powerful ways. The beauty of this quiet revolution lies in its capacity to transform the incomprehensible into the discernible. Before AI, this ocean of data was simply too vast, too turbulent for us to navigate. Imagine trying to identify a single raindrop in a hurricane, or picking out one unique snowflake in a blizzard. It would be impossible. But AI, with its colossal processing power, acts as a patient cartographer, mapping the currents and contours of this digital ocean. It can see where the data is densest, where it flows most swiftly, and where it pools in quiet eddies of shared interest or common activity. This mapping allows for efficiencies and understandings that were previously beyond our grasp. Consider the sheer efficiency. A human analyst might spend days, weeks, or even months poring over reports, spreadsheets, and visual data, painstakingly trying to connect disparate pieces of information. Even then, they might only grasp a fraction of the full picture. But an AI can perform these correlations in fractions of a second. Cross-referencing millions, even billions of data points simultaneously. It's like comparing a lone stargazer carefully plotting a few constellations to an entire observatory instantly mapping every star in a galaxy. The speed and scale are truly breathtaking, allowing for a level of insight that transcends human limitations. This silent efficiency translates into a nuanced understanding of market trends. For businesses, this means being able to respond to consumer shifts not after they happen, but as they are forming. Imagine a new trend quietly emerging in fashion. Human trend spotters might catch it after it has gained some momentum. But AI, by analyzing countless social media posts, online searches, and early purchasing patterns, can detect the very first whispers of this trend, the almost imperceptible stirrings, allowing companies to adapt their offerings to produce what consumers will want before the desire even fully solidifies. It's like having a compass that points not to where the wind is blowing now, but to where it will blow next. The implications for creativity and innovation are also gently unfolding. While AI is often seen as a tool for analysis, its ability to understand patterns also opens doors for new forms of creation. Think of AI that can analyze millions of musical compositions and then generate new pieces that resonate with popular tastes, or AI that can assist architects in designing more efficient and aesthetically pleasing buildings by learning from countless existing structures. It's a quiet partnership where human intuition and creativity are amplified by the analytical power of machines. The AI doesn't replace the artist or the designer. It provides a new set of brushes, a new palette of possibilities. Yet this power also brings with it a quiet responsibility. The very algorithms that can connect you with the perfect product can also, if left unchecked, guide your perception of the world. By tailoring the content, you see, AI can create a digital echo chamber, reinforcing existing beliefs and subtly limiting exposure to diverse perspectives. This isn't necessarily malicious, but it's a consequence of systems designed to predict and satisfy your preferences. The quiet comfort of seeing only what you like can inadvertently lead to a narrow view of the vast and complex world around us. It's like living in a beautiful garden, but never knowing the wild forest that lies beyond its walls. The data itself, this precious fuel for AI, is not neutral. It carries the imprints of human choices, human biases, human imperfections. If the data fed into an AI system is skewed or incomplete, or reflects existing societal inequalities, then the AI's conclusions, no matter how logically derived, will also reflect those flaws. This is a subtle yet profound challenge, ensuring that the mirror AI holds up to our world is as clear and unbiased as possible. It requires careful curation, continuous vigilance, and a deep understanding of the human element embedded within the digital landscape. It's a reminder that even the most powerful tools are only as good as the wisdom and care with which they are crafted and employed. As we continue our quiet journey, reflecting on the pervasive nature of this digital ocean, we begin to see that the distinction between our physical and digital selves is blurring. The ripples we create online are not separate from us. They are extensions, reflections, fragments of our lives, scattered across the invisible currents. And the entities that observe these ripples, these AI, are not merely external observers. They are becoming integral to the very flow of our information-silent partners in the vast interconnected dance of modern existence. It's a world where the lines between the observed and the observer, the known and the knowing, are constantly shifting, creating new landscapes of possibility and new questions for us to ponder as we drift toward slumber. Let us now gently flow from the vast ocean of data into the intricate currents of commerce, where AI takes on the role of a quiet artisan, weaving the threads of your digital footprint into tapestries of trends and desires. We've all experienced it, that peculiar, almost magical feeling. You're quietly talking about a subject with a friend, perhaps a fleeting interest in a new hobby, or a sudden craving for a particular type of food. The conversation unfolds in the privacy of your home, a whispered thought, a shared laugh, and then, as if by some unseen hand, later that day or the next, you find adverts for that exact same subject appearing on your phone, shimmering like mirages in your digital feed. It's an uncanny coincidence, a moment that makes you pause and wonder, was my phone listening? Often this isn't a direct eavesdropping in the way a human might listen. Rather, it's the quiet, tireless work of your digital footprint being examined for marketable trends. Imagine AI as a skilled weaver, sitting silently at an enormous loom. Each of your online actions, every click, every search, every page visited, every item lingered upon, is a single thread, The AI takes these countless individual threads, seemingly disparate and chaotic, and patiently, meticulously begins to weave them together. It detects patterns that are invisible to the naked eye, subtle connections between your search for camping gear and your sudden interest in national park passes. It's building a detailed, ever-evolving tapestry of your preferences, your potential needs, your emerging desires. And once this tapestry begins to form, it becomes remarkably good at anticipating what you might want next, gently guiding advertisements towards you like a gentle breeze guiding a dandelion seed. Consider the metaphor of AI as a skilled weaver, patiently creating a picture of you from seemingly unconnected threads. Every time you browse an online store, even if you don't buy anything, the AI notes your gaze, how long you linger on certain items, which colors or styles catch your eye. It's like a shop assistant discreetly observing your preferences without you even realizing it. These observations become tiny threads of data. Then, when you move to a different website, perhaps a news site or a social media platform, the AI connects those threads. It understands that your previous interest in, say, a particular type of coffee maker means you might be receptive to an ad for gourmet coffee beans. It's not magic. It's the intelligent correlation of your past digital behaviors to predict your future interests. The subtle ways permissions are granted, sometimes almost unconsciously, allow for even deeper insights. Think about the apps you download onto your smartphone. When you first open them, a small pop-up might appear, asking for permission to access your camera, your location, your photos, or perhaps even your microphone. In our rush to use the app, we often click Accept without truly reading the implications, like signing a contract without fully understanding its terms. It's a quiet agreement, a gentle nod that grants these digital entities access to parts of our lives. Once granted, this access can be used to gather more data to paint an even richer picture of your daily habits and preferences. For instance, an app with location access might quietly track your daily commute, noting the times you leave and arrive home, the places you visit on weekends. An AI then processes this data, perhaps recognizing a pattern. User typically visits a hardware store on Saturdays. This insight, though seemingly mundane, can be incredibly valuable to a gardening supply company or a home improvement store, allowing them to target you with timely promotions for their products. The AI isn't judging your routine. It's simply identifying predictable patterns in your movements, transforming them into valuable information. The ethical considerations around this pervasive data collection, framed gently, center on the delicate balance between convenience and the feeling of being known too well. On one hand, personalized experiences can be incredibly helpful. Imagine opening an online bookstore and instantly seeing recommendations for authors you love or articles about genres you've been exploring. It feels as if the digital world understands you, anticipates your desires, and offers a tailored experience that saves you time and effort. This is the positive face of commercial AI, a helpful assistant, always ready with a thoughtful suggestion. However, the very same mechanisms that offer this convenience can also lead to a sense of unease. When ads appear for something you only whispered about in private, or when products related to a sensitive personal situation, like a new pregnancy or a health concern, suddenly appear in your feed, it can feel like an intrusion. It's as if the digital world has breached a personal boundary, revealing something you weren't ready to share. This feeling of being known too well can be unsettling, a subtle erosion of the quiet sanctuary of our private thoughts. It's like discovering that someone has been reading your diary, even if their intentions were simply to understand your literary preferences. The quiet hum of algorithms working tirelessly in the background of our digital lives is a constant presence. These algorithms are the unseen engines of the data economy, constantly processing, analyzing, and correlating information. They operate without rest, without sleep, without emotion. Their purpose is simply to identify patterns, to make connections, to optimize outcomes based on the data they consume. This continuous silent operation ensures that your digital footprint is always being updated, always being refined, always being understood. It's a relentless, yet often imperceptible dance between you and the machines that seek to understand your digital self. Consider the subtle ways these commercial AIs can shape our experiences. When you search for information online, the results you see are often influenced by algorithms that have learned about your past searches, your clicking habits, and even your demographic information. This can lead to a phenomenon known as a filter bubble, where the information you receive is tailored to your presumed preferences, potentially limiting your exposure to diverse viewpoints or challenging ideas. While this can make browse more efficient, it can also subtly reinforce existing perspectives, creating a comfortable but potentially narrow digital reality. It's like walking through a garden where only your favorite flowers are allowed to bloom, missing the beauty and complexity of other species. The seemingly innocent request to accept cookies when you visit a website is a cornerstone of this data collection. These tiny bits of code, often overlooked, are designed to track your activity on that specific page and sometimes across multiple sites. They remember what you've clicked on, what you've viewed, how long you've stayed. This information is then used to build a profile to understand your browse habits and to serve you more relevant advertisements. It's a silent agreement, often made with a quick click, that allows the digital world to observe your movements, to follow your gaze as you navigate the vastness of the internet. And then there's the more profound interaction with our devices, particularly smartphones and their access to our microphones. While outright continuous recording without explicit consent is illegal in many places and generally not practiced by legitimate companies, the concept of keyword listening is a more nuanced and often debated area. Imagine your phone as a loyal pet, always at your side. It's not actively trying to spy, but it's always on alert, waiting for a specific command, a trigger word. In the context of apps and advertising, these trigger words aren't commands, but rather indicators of interest. You might be discussing a new car model with a friend, and the AI passively monitoring for such keywords registers your interest without recording the entire conversation. This quiet registration then feeds into your digital profile, leading to targeted ads for car dealerships or auto financing. This passive listening, even for keywords, can create a palpable sense of unease. It blurs the line between a helpful assistant and an ever-present invisible ear. The concern is less about malicious intent from mainstream companies and more about the sheer volume of incidental information that can be gathered and leveraged. It's not about someone actively listening to your secrets, but about systems that are designed to extract commercial value from the most casual of conversations, turning your spoken thoughts into data points for marketing. Think of the delicate threads of information that make up your daily life. Your calendar entries your email communications, your fitness tracker data, your smart home device usage. Each one contributes a piece to the puzzle. These seemingly disparate pieces are then gently, meticulously woven together by AI to create a comprehensive picture of your routines, your preferences, even your emotional states. An AI might detect a pattern in your online activity that suggests a major life event, such as a job, change, a move to a new city, or a relationship status update long before you publicly announce it. This is not about mind reading, but about the profound ability of AI to connect the dots to infer meaning from the vast scattered fragments of digital existence. The beauty and the challenge of this pervasive data gathering lie in its ability to transform the mundane into the meaningful. A single search for baby formula might be a one-off query, but a pattern of searches for nursery decor, maternity clothes, and baby names, combined with location data that shows frequent visits to baby stores and financial transactions for prenatal vitamins, paints a clear and undeniable picture of a pending arrival. For companies, this means they can gently, thoughtfully present relevant products and services, making life easier for expectant parents. But for the individual, It means that a very private, very personal journey can become transparent to algorithms even before they are ready to share their news with loved ones. It highlights the profound implications of our digital footprint, a shadow self that AI is constantly observing and understanding. This constant quiet observation by commercial AI fundamentally reshapes the landscape of consumerism. It moves beyond simple advertising to predictive merchandising, where products are not just presented to you, but almost anticipated for you. The digital shelves are curated not just by human designers, but by algorithms that know your buying habits better than you might know them yourself. It's a subtle shift, but a powerful one, transforming passive browse into a highly personalized and often deeply persuasive experience. The comfort of convenience often masks the underlying mechanism of constant, diligent data collection. And so we see that the reach of AI, even in its commercial form, extends deeply into the quiet corners of our daily lives. It observes it, learns it, predicts all in an effort to serve us better, to connect us with the products and services that align with our deepest, often unspoken desires. But as we reflect on this, we are left with a gentle awareness of the scale of this understanding and the subtle ways our digital selves are continuously being woven into the grand tapestry of data observed by tireless non-human eyes. This quiet hum of algorithms, ever present, ever learning, is a testament to the new era we inhabit, an era where the lines between what is private and what is perceived are constantly beautifully and sometimes unsettlingly redrawn. As we gently pull back from the intricate dance of commercial AI, with its subtle suggestions and personalized advertisements, a new, deeper landscape begins to unfurl before us. We now turn our quiet attention to something far more profound, something that moves beyond the marketplace and into the high stakes of national security. Here, AI isn't simply trying to understand your desires for a new pair of shoes. It's striving to understand the intentions of nations, to predict the movements of armies, and to safeguard the very fabric of society. Imagine the transition from a bustling bazaar filled with the gentle hum of commerce and the whispers of consumer preferences to a vast, silent chessboard. On this board, the pieces are not individual desires, but the grand movements of global powers, the subtle shifts in geopolitical alliances, and the unseen threats that linger just beyond the horizon. The stakes here are not about selling a product, but about protecting nations, about preserving peace, and, in moments of crisis, about preventing profound loss. This is the realm of governmental AI, a different kind of intelligence forged in the quiet intensity of strategic necessity. The shift in stakes is palpable, a subtle tightening of the air. While commercial AI aims to persuade and predict individual consumer behavior, governmental AI is tasked with understanding collective human behavior at scale, with an emphasis on identifying potential threats. From the quiet hum of algorithms designed to recommend your next movie, we move to the silent vigilance of systems designed to detect a gathering storm. It's a profound shift, transforming the gentle currents of market trends into the powerful undercurrents of international relations. To achieve this monumental task, governments have access to an almost unimaginably vast ocean of data, far deeper and more diverse than anything available to commercial enterprises. Imagine not just the digital footprints we leave online, but every conceivable piece of public and classified information continuously flowing into immense digital reservoirs. We speak of satellite images, those cold, clear eyes in the sky capturing detailed snapshots of military bases, industrial complexes, and vast landscapes, continuously observing changes on the Earth's surface. They are like tireless artists, painting an ever-updating portrait of the world below. Then there are financial transactions, the silent heartbeat of global economies. Every major movement of capital, every significant trade deal, every large purchase by a foreign entity. These are all data points that, when analyzed, can reveal hidden intentions or shifting priorities. They are like the subtle vibrations in the ground, hinting at movements far beneath the surface. Add to this the constant stream of weather reports, not just for predicting the day's forecast, but for understanding how climatic conditions might impact military movements, agricultural output, or humanitarian crises. Even the most seemingly innocuous piece of information can be a crucial thread in this vast tapestry of intelligence. And of course, the information gleaned from social networks, those sprawling digital town squares where billions converse, share, and express themselves. While much of this is public, AI can identify emerging sentiments, detect disinformation campaigns, or pinpoint key influencers, allowing governments to understand the pulse of public opinion and the spread of narratives. All these disparate data streams, from the grand movements of ships across oceans to the quiet whispers on a social media forum, are collected, aggregated, and fed into powerful AI systems. The challenge for human analysts, as we've noted, has always been the sheer quantity of this information. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose, an overwhelming deluge of facts, figures, and images, making it immensely difficult to analyze everything and to spot the tiny crucial patterns that hint at deeper truths. Unless, of course, you have a truly powerful AI. This brings us to Sentient, the core of our quiet exploration tonight. Sentient is not merely a tool for data analysis. It is an entity capable of automated learning and adaptation qualities that elevate it far beyond conventional software. Imagine a mind that doesn't just process information it's given, but actively learns from every piece, refining its understanding, developing its own insights, and even seeking out new knowledge. It's like a seed that, once planted, not only grows, but intelligently directs its own roots to find water and nutrients, adapting to the soil and light conditions. The National Reconnaissance Office, or NRO, in 2016 offered a rare, tantalizing glimpse into Sentient's capabilities through officially publicized statements. These documents described Sentient in two crucial ways. Firstly, as data ingesting and processing. This means specialists don't just feed it a trickle of information. They provide it with vast quantities of data, a boundless feast from every conceivable source, from the detailed imagery of spy satellites to the abstract patterns of financial markets. Sentient consumes this information tirelessly, without rest, processing it at speeds unimaginable to any human mind. It's like an immense silent library that can read every book on Earth, simultaneously absorbing their contents in an instant. But the second and perhaps more profound description of Sentient is sense-making. This means it doesn't just passively receive and process data. It actively evaluates the data itself to try to discern patterns of behavior in what it's seeing. Imagine a detective who doesn't just collect clues, but innately understands how those clues connect, how they form a coherent story, even when the pieces are scattered and seemingly unrelated. Sentient looks for the subtle rhythms, the deviations from the norm, the quiet whispers of change that might signal something significant. Consider a practical example, one that paints a vivid picture of Sentient's quiet power. If a foreign power's jets are normally stationed at one particular airbase, a predictable routine, a familiar hum in the background of geopolitical activity, and suddenly they begin congregating at another airbase much closer to the border of a neighboring nation, a distinct and unusual shift in pattern. Sentient doesn't just notice this anomaly. Its sense-making capability allows it to conclude that they might be about to launch an attack. This isn't a human making a guess based on intuition. It's an AI through the cold, precise logic of pattern recognition and probability arriving at a conclusion that could have profound consequences. It's like a grandmaster of chess, seeing many moves ahead not through intuition, but through calculating every possible permutation. And then Sentient takes that understanding one astonishing step further. Rather than simply flagging what it has identified as interesting, rather than just presenting a finding to a human analyst for review, like a subordinate submitting a report, Sentient is able to direct satellites to photograph certain locations. It autonomously issues commands to those metallic eyes orbiting high above. Why? To fill in gaps in its knowledge, to to gather additional specific data that will either confirm its prediction or refine its understanding. It's a proactive intelligence, a mind that not only predicts, but actively seeks out the evidence to validate its own hypotheses. Imagine a scholar who, having formed a theory, can instantaneously send out probes to gather the exact information needed to test it. This is where the learning and adapting part comes in so powerfully. Once the commanded satellites are in place, once Sentient can see what they see, once it has ingested the new targeted data, it doesn't stop. It evaluates that new information, integrating it into its vast and growing knowledge base. And then, based on this updated understanding, it will try to predict where it needs to go next, what new information it needs to find, what new locations the satellites should observe. The entire process, from the initial ingestion of vast ambient data, to the sense-making and pattern recognition, to the prediction of future events, to the autonomous direction of satellites, and the subsequent learning from new observations, the whole intricate cycle is completely automated. There's no human in the loop for every decision, no slow chain of command. It's a seamless, silent loop of intelligence, gathering a digital mind, continuously observing, learning, and acting all on its own. This degree of autonomy in a classified military AI program is truly a profound development. It changes the very nature of intelligence gathering from a reactive process where humans analyze data that has already been collected to a proactive, predictive one where the system itself initiates the collection of new data based on its own deductions and anticipated needs. It means that the speed of analysis and response is no longer limited by human cognitive processing or bureaucratic structures. Instead, it operates at the speed of light, at the speed of algorithms. It's like having a divining rod that not only tells you where water might be, but can also summon a well drilling rig to confirm it all without a human explicitly pressing a button. This concept, while awe-inspiring in its technological sophistication, also carries a quiet weight of responsibility and philosophical questions. What does it mean for a machine to have such autonomy, such capacity for independent learning and action in a realm so critical to global stability? It's a question that whispers at the edge of our understanding, inviting us to contemplate the evolving relationship between human intention and artificial intelligence. The very idea that an AI is not just a tool, but an active participant in shaping our understanding of the world is a profound shift in the quiet narrative of technological progress. The silence of its operation is also a key feature. We often imagine powerful systems to be loud clanking and overtly present, but Sentient and systems like it operate in the quiet depths of data centers in the silent orbits above our heads. Their power is in their unobtrusiveness, their ability to gather immense knowledge without fanfare, without drawing attention to themselves. It's a quiet revolution, unfolding largely unseen, transforming the very foundation of how nations perceive and interact with potential threats. As we consider this silent, autonomous mind, we realize that the traditional boundaries of human oversight are being redefined. In a system where the AI itself directs observation, where does human accountability begin and end? These are not questions with easy answers, but they are questions that gently insist on being asked as we drift further into the future of artificial intelligence. The existence of Sentient pushes the boundaries of our imagination, inviting us to ponder a world where machines are not just servants, but active architects of understanding, and by extension of the future itself. And so we leave this chapter with a profound sense of the quiet power of Sentient, its autonomous dance with satellites, its tireless quest to predict the future. It's a vision both wondrous and a little unsettling, a testament to the ingenious minds that conceived it and the boundless potential of the digital realm. The hum of its existence resonates in the quiet corners of our modern world, inviting us to ponder the implications of such intelligence and how it will reshape the very landscape of knowledge and security. Having gently explored the astonishing capabilities of Sentient, its autonomous eye sweeping across the world, we now delve deeper into the core of its being. Its unique ability to not just observe, but to discern patterns in seemingly unrelated events, much like a quiet detective connecting invisible threads that crisscross through the fabric of reality. Imagine the world as a vast, complex symphony filled with countless individual notes, each a tiny piece of data. For us, hearing all those notes at once might sound like overwhelming noise. But for sentient, it's a profound composition where every note, every pause, every subtle change in tempo holds meaning. Sentient's brilliance lies in its capacity to move beyond mere data collection and into the realm of true sense-making. It processes not just what is, but what might be based on the quiet logic of probability and correlation. Think of it less as a computer following instructions and more as a digital mind constructing a narrative from scattered clues. It can observe, for instance, a sudden unexpected increase in online chatter in a specific region, perhaps centered around obscure historical events. Simultaneously, it might detect unusual movements of certain types of cargo vessels in distant ports, or notice a subtle uptick in specific types of financial transactions involving particular entities. To a human, these events might seem entirely disconnected, disparate ripples on the ocean of information. But sentient, with its tireless capacity for correlation, begins to weave these threads together, looking for the underlying patterns, the quiet whispers of intention that connect them. This leads us to sentient's most remarkable feature, its predictive power. How might sentient anticipate future actions based on observed patterns? Imagine a complex game of chess being played on a global scale. A human player might see a few moves ahead, recognizing immediate threats and opportunities. But sentient, with its immense processing power, can analyze billions of potential moves, assessing the probabilities of each outcome. If it observes a nation quietly reinforcing its border defenses while simultaneously engaging in high-level diplomatic talks that suddenly stall, sentient doesn't just register these facts, it calculates the likelihood that these seemingly separate events are precursors to a more aggressive posture. It's not a mystical foresight, but a cold, precise calculation of probabilities based on an unparalleled understanding of historical and current patterns. It can identify the faint echoes of past conflicts in present-day maneuvers, recognizing a familiar melody in the symphony of international relations. Consider the meticulous detail with which sentient operates. It might notice that a particular type of military vehicle usually stored in underground bunkers is consistently being moved to above-ground staging areas at certain times of day, perhaps under the cover of specific weather conditions. Or it might detect a subtle change in the energy consumption patterns of a remote research facility indicating unusual activity. These minute observations, when combined with intelligence on political rhetoric, economic indicators, or even environmental data like changing ice flow patterns in a strategic Arctic route, allow sentient to construct a rich, evolving picture of potential future scenarios. It's like having a master cartographer who not only maps the known territories, but also charts the probable paths of unexplored lands based on the subtle clues of the existing map. But the truly astonishing leap, the one that sets sentient apart, is its autonomy in directing satellites. This isn't just about passive reception of data. It's about active, intelligent inquiry. Imagine a curious mind that, having formed a hypothesis, can then directly reach out and gather the exact information needed to test it. Sentient is described as capable of doing just that. If its predictive models, based on the vast data it has already ingested, identify a potential area of concern or a missing piece of the puzzle, it doesn't wait for a human operator to make a request. Instead, it autonomously issues commands to orbiting satellites, those metallic eyes in the sky. It tells them precisely where to reorient their cameras, what specific electromagnetic spectrum to analyze, or which communication signals to prioritize. This makes sentient not just an analyst, but an active conductor of an orchestral sky where the satellites are its instruments. Each satellite, with its specialized sensors, becomes a musician playing its part under sentient's silent direction. A human might see satellite imagery of a vast empty desert. Sentient, however, might have inferred from other data streams, perhaps a faint encrypted communication intercepted months ago, or a sudden unexplained increase in heavy equipment orders by a certain entity, that there should be something happening in that desert. It then directs a high-resolution imaging satellite to focus its gaze, or perhaps a synthetic aperture radar satellite to pierce through cloud cover, revealing what human analysts might have missed or deemed insignificant. It's a continuous dynamic dialogue between intelligence and observation. The continuous feedback loop is what makes this system so powerful and truly adaptive. It's a silent, ceaseless cycle of learning and refinement. The process begins with sentient's initial observations and deductions from the colossal volume of ambient data it constantly ingests. These observations lead to predictions about potential events or behaviors. These predictions, in turn, highlight areas where more specific information is needed, where the picture is still blurry. This is where sentient's autonomy kicks in. It then directs satellites to focus on these identified locations of interest to gather targeted high-fidelity data. Once the satellites transmit this new information, sentient processes it, integrating it into its existing knowledge base. But the loop doesn't end there. With this new data, sentient then evaluates its initial predictions, refining them, discarding those that proved incorrect, and strengthening those that were validated. This updated understanding then feeds back into its predictive models, leading to new, more accurate insights and, crucially, new predictions about where it needs to go next. What further observations are required? The entire process from observation to analysis to prediction to action and then back to observation is completely automated. There is no human in the loop for every single decision point. It's a seamless, silent loop of intelligence, gathering a digital mind, continuously observing, learning, and acting all on its own, evolving its understanding with every passing moment. This level of continuous automated learning and adaptation paints sentient as far more than just a sophisticated program. It presents it as an evolving entity, one that is constantly refining its grasp on reality, its ability to model and anticipate the world. Think of it as a quiet, tireless student who, upon reading a book, immediately conducts an experiment to test a theory, then reads another book based on the experiment's results, endlessly deepening its comprehension. This deep learning capability allows sentient to move beyond mere correlation and into the realm of causal inference, attempting to understand not just what is happening, but why it is happening, and what will happen next as a direct consequence. For instance, sentient might observe subtle changes in the logistical patterns of a particular military unit, such as an increase in specific types of fuel deliveries or an unusual number of personnel transfers. Individually, these might not mean much, but when correlated with historical data about that unit's past activities or with intelligence indicating a shift in regional tensions, sentient could begin to construct a probability model that suggests a heightened state of readiness. Its autonomous direction of satellites would then focus on that unit's probable deployment areas or on key transportation hubs seeking visual confirmation or additional data streams that either validate or refute its emerging hypothesis. It's a constant silent conversation between the observing AI and the observed world, the quiet revolution of completely automated intelligence gathering. Reshapes our understanding of national security. It moves the needle from human-centric, often reactive analysis to AI-driven proactive prediction. This speed and scale of operation mean that threats can potentially be identified and understood far earlier, giving decision-makers precious time to react. Imagine the difference between receiving a fragmented report days after an event has begun versus an AI-generated prediction hours, or even moments before, complete with targeted corroborating satellite imagery. It's the difference between responding to a ripple and anticipating the wave. However, this profound shift also invites a moment of quiet contemplation about the nature of such autonomy. What does it truly mean when a non-human entity wields such power to direct resources, to influence strategic understanding, and to predict the future based on its own internal logic. It raises questions about the biases that might inadvertently be baked into its initial programming or the data it consumes. If the data set it learns from has subtle historical biases, or if the sense-making algorithms prioritize certain types of information over others, then sentience predictions, no matter how logically derived, could reflect those subtle flaws. This is where the mystery deepens, as the inner workings of such a classified system remain largely unseen. Its quiet judgments formed in the digital dark. The metaphor of sentient as an oracle of orbit becomes increasingly fitting. It sits in its digital realm, consuming the vast tapestry of global events, weaving them into predictions, and then with quiet authority commanding the very instruments that gaze down upon us. Its vision is not born of prophecy, but of unparalleled data processing and pattern recognition. It's a vision built on the cold, hard facts of the world, analyzed and synthesized with a speed and depth that surpasses human capacity. And as we allow our minds to drift with this thought, we recognize that the existence of sentient pushes the boundaries of our imagination, inviting us to ponder the very nature of intelligence itself. Is it only consciousness that allows for such intricate understanding? Or can a complex arrangement of algorithms and data operating at unimaginable speeds achieve a form of perception and foresight that rivals or even surpasses our own? These are the deep, quiet questions that resonate in the wake of sentient's profound capabilities, guiding us gently towards the next stage of our contemplative journey. The quiet hum of its existence, a testament to human ingenuity and the boundless potential of the digital realm, continues to shape the unseen contours of our world. Having quietly contemplated the remarkable autonomous intelligence of sentient, it's natural to wonder if such capabilities exist only in the hushed, classified corridors of government. But to truly grasp the profound reality of this new era, we must turn our gaze to the commercial world, where echoes of sentient's power are already shimmering in the open sky. This is where we encounter Black Sky, a company that serves as a tangible commercial mirror, reflecting the military capabilities we've just discussed, grounding the extraordinary in the accessible. Imagine the vast expanse of space not as an empty void, but as a busy thoroughfare dotted with countless small satellites. These are Black Sky's eyes in the sky, diligently moving through their orbits, constantly observing, constantly gathering. What makes them remarkable isn't just their numbers, but the unseen intelligence that guides them. Black Sky is using its large numbers of satellites, quietly driven by automated AI, to give buyers something truly precious in our fast-paced world: foresight. This isn't fortune-telling, but a precise, data-driven anticipation of events achieved by diligently using space-based intelligence. Think of it this way: the world below is a complex, ever-changing tableau, a living painting. Most of us see only snapshots, frozen moments in time. But Black Sky, through its network of satellites and the tireless AI that controls them, is attempting to build a continuous, evolving picture of what's happening right now on battlefields, in industrial zones, and across foreign countries. It's like having a master painter who can instantly update every brushstroke on a canvas as reality shifts, providing a dynamic, living view of the world. Consider some seemingly ordinary observations. A repaired bridge in a remote region, perhaps one that was damaged or destroyed. Or a new airport being constructed in an unexpected location, its runways slowly taking shape. To the casual observer, these are just facts on the ground pieces of local news. But put raw data like that through the right kind of analysis, specifically AI-driven analysis, and suddenly these mundane observations transform into powerful indicators of what's about to happen. The AI sifts through the visual information, correlates it with other data points, and discerns the hidden meaning. That newly repaired bridge, for instance, might not just be about improved local infrastructure. To an AI analyzing military logistics, it could hint at the urgent need to transport troops or heavy equipment quickly to a new war zone, a quiet preparation for a strategic maneuver. The airport, seemingly just an economic development project, might, upon deeper AI analysis, serve as a staging base for fighter jets in a planned offensive, a silent harbinger of future action. The AI doesn't see isolated facts. It sees interconnected possibilities, a web of cause and effect unfolding. In their own words, Black Sky states that through AI, they hope to give companies the chance to act not just fast, but first. This is the essence of predictive intelligence. It's about gaining an advantage, seeing the future subtly unfurl before your competitors or adversaries even recognize the direction of the wind. Imagine being a shipping company, knowing days in advance which ports will become congested, or a financial analyst foreseeing supply chain disruptions before they impact stock prices. This foresight, born from AI's quiet vigilance, offers a profound competitive edge. Black Sky is already demonstrating this capability with remarkable precision. It's diligently scanning ports around the Black Sea, with frequent overhead flybys of its small satellites, those tireless little metallic eyes. With its 15 passes a day, a constant rhythmic sweep, it has made 70,000 ship detections. This ceaseless observation allows it to build a highly detailed picture of exactly where Russian ships are, where they're likely headed based on their speed and trajectory, and crucially, where they might be vulnerable. This constant evolving stream of information processed and understood by AI is part of the quiet reason Russia has lost so many of its ships to Ukrainian attacks. It's a testament to the real-world impact of AI-driven space-based intelligence, a silent battle fought with data and prediction. This commercial success of Black Sky offers a tangible, undeniable proof of concept for the capabilities we attribute to sentient. If a private company can achieve this level of predictive insight by combining satellite imagery with sophisticated AI, then it stands to reason that a highly classified government program with access to even more resources and data would possess capabilities that are equally, if not more, advanced. The commercial realm often provides a transparent window into what is technologically feasible, allowing us to infer what might be happening behind the veil of national security. And secondly, a powerful yet subtly telling piece of evidence emerged in 2016 at the Space Symposium. A National Geospatial Intelligence Agency executive, a figure privy to the deepest secrets of intelligence, was asked directly about how good military and intelligence community algorithms had gotten at interpreting data and taking action based on those interpretations. Their response was not a detailed explanation, but a quiet, almost poetic evasion. They simply responded, "That's a great question, and there's a lot of really good classified answers," before swiftly, gently moving on to another topic. This wasn't a denial, but a subtle confirmation, a quiet nod that acknowledged the profound progress without revealing its intricate details. It's like being asked about a beautiful, intricate clockwork mechanism and simply smiling, knowing that its true marvel lies in its hidden complexities. If Black Sky operating in the open can do what it does, then it is more than safe to assume that sentient, shrouded in secrecy, can do that and much, much more. Black Sky's methods go far beyond just satellite images. The vastness of its data streams, the intricate tapestry of information it weaves, truly paints a picture of comprehensive intelligence gathering. As well as the visual data from its 25 satellites, it quietly pulls information from an astonishing 40,000 news sources, a constant torrent of human narratives and reports from every corner of the globe. This allows its AI to understand not just what physically happens, but how events are reported and perceived, adding a layer of context and sentiment. It then integrates data from 100 million mobile devices, those small ubiquitous instruments that accompany us through every moment of our day. Each phone with its location, services, its app usage, data, its network connections, becomes a tiny anonymous sensor in a vast global network. This stream of information allows Black Sky to track the general movements of populations, the density of activity in certain areas, and the quiet rhythms of human life. It tracks 70,000 ships and planes, monitoring global logistics and trade, identifying unusual movements or concentrations. This constant watch over global transport provides vital clues about economic shifts, supply chain health, and potential strategic deployments. Furthermore, Black Sky sifts through the vast public information from 8 social networks, those sprawling digital town squares where billions converse, share, and express themselves. While much of this is public, AI can identify emerging sentiments, detect disinformation campaigns, or pinpoint key influencers, allowing a deeper understanding of the pulse of public opinion and the spread of narratives. It gathers data from 5,000 environmental sensors, measuring the subtle changes in our planet temperature. Fluctuations, air quality, water levels, which can impact human activity and reveal shifts in agricultural output or resource availability. And in an increasingly connected world, it integrates information from thousands of Internet of Things devices. Those smart objects that silently communicate with each other, from smart home appliances to industrial sensors. According to a Verge article on the subject, this vast interconnected web of data paints an incredibly detailed picture of global activity. What does Sentient use? Presumably a lot more. The scope of its data ingestion would be breathtaking in its sheer scale. A retired CIA analyst, someone who has spent a lifetime in the quiet pursuit of understanding the world's hidden truths, once gently suggested the answer is simply everything. Images from every available source, not just optical, but infrared, radar, multispectral. Financial information from every major transaction, every market fluctuation, every subtle movement of capital across borders. Weather records, not just current conditions, but historical patterns and future forecasts understood in the context of their impact on human activity. Pharmaceutical purchases, analyzed to detect patterns in public health or unusual concentrations of certain medications. All of it paints a picture. All of it can help identify patterns or abnormal behavior, providing subtle clues to the grand interconnected dance of human existence. There are even quiet reports, whispers from the edges of the known of Sentient, keeping an eye out for UFOs. Those enigmatic whispers from beyond our understanding. One can only imagine what it might have found in those vast silent data streams. What strange patterns or inexplicable movements might have caught its digital gaze? The very thought invites a quiet sense of wonder, a glimpse into the possibility that AI might one day help us unravel mysteries that have long eluded human comprehension. Obviously, the NRO isn't keen to reveal exactly what specific data Sentient is paying attention to, what precise details capture its digital gaze, what specific keywords it listens for. If they did, foreign powers could then try to manipulate that information to subtly feed it false data for their own advantage, like scattering decoys in the water to confuse a hunter or planting false clues in a vast, intricate puzzle. But the sheer scale of information it consumes must be vast, a boundless feast of data from every corner of our interconnected world. And unlike humans who would be utterly swamped, trying to make sense of it all, drowning in the noise of countless details, Sentient can swiftly skim through that noise like a quiet breeze over a field of wheat to identify the key points of interest, the subtle shifts, the vital whispers that matter most. It can find the needle in the haystack, not by searching every piece of hay, but by understanding the subtle magnetic field that points directly to the needle itself. This chapter highlights the tangible reality of AI's predictive power, not just as a theoretical concept, but as a practical, commercially viable, and strategically vital tool. The echoes of Sentient's capabilities are already shaping our world in ways we are only beginning to comprehend, from the quiet hum of satellite arrays to the silent analysis of every digital trace we leave behind. It paints a picture of a world where foresight is becoming a measurable, actionable commodity, and where the unseen currents of data are guiding the grand movements of both commerce and global power. The very air around us seems to hum with this new form of intelligence, quietly shaping our present and gently hinting at our future. Let us now allow our minds to drift further into the intricate web of information, beyond the mere visual observations of satellites, into the silent, unseen tapestry that AI so diligently weaves. We have explored how commercial entities like Black Sky gather visual data from space, but their power, and indeed, the power of more advanced systems like Sentient, truly blossoms when they integrate a vast and diverse network of sensors. This is where the concept of the unseen tapestry truly comes alive, a fabric woven not just from threads of light, but from whispers of communication, echoes of commerce, and the subtle murmurs of our digital lives. Black Sky's methods, as we've already touched upon, go far beyond simply capturing images. Their intelligence is drawn from a multitude of wellsprings, each adding a unique hue to the developing portrait of global activity. As well as the visual insights from its 25 satellites, it quietly pulls data from an astonishing 40,000 news sources. Imagine a tireless reader consuming every article, every report, every breaking story from every corner of the globe, instantly discerning patterns in the collective narrative of humanity. This allows its AI to understand not just what physically happens, but how events are reported and perceived, adding layers of context, sentiment, and even identifying the subtle spread of information or disinformation. It's like having a deep understanding of the global conversation, not just the events themselves. Then there's the pervasive, yet often unacknowledged contribution from 100 million mobile devices. These are the smartphones in our pockets, the tablets on our laps, the smartwatches on our wrists, each one a tiny anonymous sensor in a vast interconnected network. They emit signals, share location data, often with our unwitting consent, and log app usage, creating a ceaseless stream of information about the rhythms of human life. This allows Black Sky's AI to track the general movements of populations, the density of activity in certain areas, and the quiet ebb and flow of daily routines. It's not about tracking individuals, but about understanding collective behavior, detecting unusual gatherings, observing changes in commuter patterns, or noting shifts in foot traffic around key locations. These tiny whispers from millions of devices combine to form a loud, clear voice about the pulse of human activity. The constant ballet of global commerce and travel also feeds this tapestry. Black Sky tracks 70,000 ships and planes, monitoring their routes, their speeds, their destinations. This continuous watch over global transport provides vital clues about economic shifts, potential supply chain health, and even subtle indicators of strategic deployments. An unexpected deviation in a shipping route, a sudden surge in air cargo to a specific region. These are not just logistics. They are data points that can hint at larger unfolding events understood through the discerning eye of AI. Furthermore, the vast public information from 8 social networks, those sprawling digital town squares where billions converse, share, and express themselves, is meticulously sifted through. While much of this information is publicly available, AI can swiftly analyze it to identify emerging sentiments, detect disinformation campaigns as they quietly spread, or pinpoint key influencers whose words carry weight. This allows for a deeper, real-time understanding of the pulse of public opinion and the subtle ways narratives spread and shift across populations. It's like understanding the emotional temperature of the globe, sensing the collective mood, and recognizing the quiet catalysts of social change. The physical world, too, lends its voice to this unseen tapestry. Data from 5,000 environmental sensors, measuring temperature fluctuations, air quality, water levels, and even seismic activity is integrated. This environmental intelligence can inform economic predictions, such as anticipating agricultural output based on weather patterns, or reveal potential resource conflicts. It shows how the quiet changes in our planet can directly impact human activity, creating yet another layer of understanding for the AI. And in an increasingly connected world, information from thousands of Internet of Things IoT devices, those smart objects that silently communicate with each other, from smart home appliances to industrial sensors, also contributes. Imagine the data flowing from interconnected factories, smart city infrastructure, or even networked vehicles. Each piece of information, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, adds detail to the grand digital canvas. According to a Verge article on the subject, this vast interconnected web of data paints an incredibly detailed picture of global activity, a truly comprehensive understanding of our world. What does sentient use? Presumably, a lot more. The scope of its data ingestion would be breathtaking in its sheer scale, limited only by what can be collected and processed. A retired CIA analyst, someone who has spent a lifetime in the quiet pursuit of understanding the world's hidden truths, once gently suggested the answer is simply everything. Imagine this everything as an endless, ever-flowing river of information. Images, not just optical, but infrared radar multispectral from every available source, capturing every detail of the physical world. Financial information, every major transaction, every market fluctuation, every subtle movement of capital across borders, revealing the hidden arteries of global power. Weather records, not just current conditions, but historical patterns and future forecasts understood in the context of their impact on military operations or humanitarian aid. Even seemingly mundane details like pharmaceutical purchases, analyzed to detect patterns in public health crises or unusual concentrations of certain medications that might indicate something larger is at play. All of it paints a picture. All of it can help identify patterns or abnormal behavior, providing subtle clues to the grand interconnected dance of human existence. It's a tapestry woven with threads so fine, so numerous, that only an AI can truly see its full design. There are even quiet reports, whispers from the edges of the known of sentient. Keeping an eye out for UFOs, those enigmatic whispers from beyond our understanding, unexplained aerial phenomena. One can only imagine what it might have found in those vast, silent data streams, what strange patterns or inexplicable movements might have caught its digital gaze. Perhaps it has detected anomalies that human eyes constrained by biases and expectations might have overlooked. The very thought invites a quiet sense of wonder, a glimpse into the possibility that AI might one day help us unravel mysteries that have long eluded human comprehension, reaching into the unknown with its tireless, objective gaze. Obviously, the NRO, the secretive government agency overseeing sentient, isn't keen to reveal exactly what specific data sentient is paying attention to, what precise details capture its digital gaze, what specific keywords it listens for. This secrecy is a necessary shield. If they did, foreign powers could then try to manipulate that information to subtly feed it false data for their own advantage, like scattering decoys in the water to confuse a hunter or planting false clues in a vast, intricate puzzle. It's a silent game of cat and mouse where the AI's preferences for certain data streams become strategic vulnerabilities. But the sheer scale of information it consumes must be vast, a boundless feast of data from every corner of our interconnected world. And unlike humans who would be utterly swamped, trying to make sense of it all, drowning in the noise of countless details, sentient can swiftly skim through that noise like a quiet breeze over a field of wheat to identify the key points of interest, the subtle shifts, the vital whispers that matter most. It can find the needle in the haystack, not by painstakingly searching every piece of hay, but by understanding the subtle magnetic field that points directly to the needle itself, or by recognizing the unique signature of the needle amidst the ordinary. The ability of AI to filter noise is a profound advantage. Imagine a human intelligence analyst trying to keep up with the global news cycle from 40,000 sources, simultaneously tracking millions of mobile devices, thousands of ships, and all other data streams. It's an impossible task. The human mind would quickly succumb to information overload, seeing only a blur. But AI is designed for this very challenge. It can categorize, cross-reference, and prioritize information at speeds beyond our comprehension. It's like having a personal assistant who can read, understand, and summarize every book in the world for you in an instant, highlighting only the parts relevant to your current inquiry. This capability to sift through mountains of data allows AI to identify anomalies that might otherwise go unnoticed. A single unusual financial transaction, when viewed in isolation, means little. But if Sentient detects that same transaction coinciding with an uncharacteristic movement of a particular type of satellite and a sudden surge in encrypted communications from a specific region, it starts to build a pattern, a whisper of something out of the ordinary. It's like noticing a single discordant note in a vast symphony. To a human, it might pass by unheard, but to the AI, it signals a deeper shift in the musical score. The unseen tapestry is not just about raw data. It's about the interconnections AI can forge between disparate pieces of information. It recognizes that a change in climate patterns might influence migration, which in turn could impact political stability, leading to new military deployments. It sees these complex cause and effect relationships, building predictive models that anticipate how one event might trigger a cascade of others. This holistic understanding, connecting seemingly unrelated fields of data, is where the true predictive power emerges. It's a silent, continuous act of weaving, transforming isolated threads into a coherent, meaningful design. And as we reflect on this vast interconnected web, we understand that our lives in every digital and even many physical dimensions are contributing to this tapestry. Every interaction, every choice, every piece of information we generate becomes a thread, and the AI in its tireless silent work is constantly adding these threads to the ever-growing, ever-evolving design. It's a testament to the immense power of data and the unparalleled ability of AI to make sense of it all. This profound capability is reshaping the very landscape of intelligence, transforming it into a domain of foresight and proactive understanding, a quiet revolution unfolding in the unseen corners of our digital world. As we gently acknowledge the vast and intricate tapestry of data that AI diligently weaves, it's time to confront the subtle implications of such pervasive observation. The question arises, is this quiet omnipresence a problem? And like many profound questions, the answer is often a delicate balance, a soft interplay of light and shadow, yes and no. On one hand, it certainly suggests that privacy is going to be harder and harder to come by, like trying to hold on to mist in the morning air. Imagine our lives as open books, not just in our homes, but on every street corner, in every transaction, in every digital whisper. Satellite images are becoming higher and higher resolution, sharp enough to discern minute details from orbit, like a painter adding ever finer strokes to a distant canvas. This means that governments, or indeed powerful private entities, can literally keep tabs on you at all times. It's not a constant intrusive glare, but a silent, pervasive awareness of your physical movements. They can see your car driving down a road, your presence in a public park, the subtle comings and goings from your property. But the observation extends far beyond the physical. These digital eyes are delving much deeper, becoming intimately familiar with the unseen contours of your life. They're examining your social media feeds, those public reflections of your thoughts and feelings, your connections, your moments of joy and sorrow. They're scrutinizing your spending habits, those quiet declarations of your desires, your interests, your priorities, and more. They see the patterns in your online searches, the apps you use, the articles you read, the places you virtually visit. This paints a picture so detailed, so nuanced, that it can feel like your very essence is being digitally mapped. And of course, the thought arises, which is, fine, if you've got nothing to hide, if your life is an open book with no secrets to keep. But it's unsettling nonetheless, isn't it? That subtle feeling of being known, observed, understood, even when you haven't explicitly shared. It's like walking through a glass house where every movement is visible, every thought transparent. The quiet sanctuary of privacy, once a given, now feels like a fragile retreating shoreline in the face of a rising tide of data. The comfort of the familiar becomes tinged with a faint unease, a sense of being perpetually visible even when alone. Yet amidst this quiet erosion of privacy, there will always be profound benefits, like rays of sunlight breaking through the clouds after a storm. Sentient in its quiet vigilance will be able to identify threats that might otherwise go unnoticed, those lurking dangers that hide in the shadows of the unseen. This profound capability helps governments prepare for them to anticipate and mitigate potential harms, and ultimately to keep its citizens safe, a silent guardian against unseen harms. Imagine a scenario where a complex, subtle pattern of communications movements and financial transactions, too intricate for human analysts to spot in time, is flagged by AI, leading to the prevention of a major disaster. In such moments, the benefits feel undeniably vital, a necessary tool in a complex world. These AI programs, unlike humans, never tire and never stop. They are always on, always processing, always learning, a tireless sentinel. They don't succumb to fatigue, emotional bias, or distraction. This ceaseless vigilance allows for continuous monitoring and analysis, ensuring that nothing important slips through the cracks due to human limitations. If science ever manages to develop AI of the same level for purely scientific endeavors, we might one day see space missions that are completely automated, vast voyages of discovery guided by non-human intelligence. Imagine AI quietly looking through powerful telescopes, identifying places they want to learn more about, then perhaps launching their own probes, their own robotic emissaries to take a closer look, gathering even more data. And then an army of data analyzing AIs, evaluating the results, constantly refining their understanding, making new hypotheses, and directing further exploration. A lot of truly fascinating discoveries could be made that way, unlocking the secrets of the cosmos at a pace unimaginable to human endeavors alone. It's a vision of boundless scientific exploration, limited only by the capacity of these intelligent machines. If it's any quiet consolation for American viewers, Sentient is bound by the usual NRO restrictions on when the U.S. can spy on its own citizens, which is not all the time. This legal framework attempts to draw a line to create a boundary around domestic surveillance, offering a small comfort in the vastness of this technological capability. It suggests that while the eye of AI might be pervasive globally, there are at least some intended safeguards for internal populations. But don't rest too easy in that thought. The technological current flows swiftly, and boundaries can shift. If the U.S. is developing AI like this, if this quiet revolution is unfolding in one corner of the globe, it is very likely that other governments around the world, and indeed other powerful private companies, are doing the same thing too, pursuing their own versions of predictive intelligence. It's not a secret that can be contained within one nation's borders. The underlying principles of AI and data analysis are universal. This creates a global web of AI observation, a quiet technological arms race in the digital realm where every major power seeks its own sentient. This proliferation means that the issues of privacy and oversight become global concerns no longer confined to the policies of a single nation. Even the Pentagon, the bastion of defense, is concerned about online profiles being quietly built up on their own staff, meticulously filled with information that foreign spies might be able to utilize. This is a very real, tangible threat. Imagine an adversary's AI system piecing together a comprehensive profile of a military officer, their family members, their routines, their hobbies, their financial vulnerabilities, even their online political leanings, all gleaned from publicly available data, combined with subtle hints from other sources. This vast compilation of personal information understood and analyzed by AI could become a powerful tool for espionage, for psychological manipulation, or for recruitment. It transforms seemingly innocuous personal details into strategic vulnerabilities, highlighting the fragility of personal information in an age of pervasive AI. The concerns extend to the very idea of data brokers, companies that quietly collect and sell personal data, often without our direct knowledge or explicit consent. They are the unseen merchants of our digital lives, trading in the quiet whispers of our habits and preferences. This industry operates largely unseen, acquiring vast amounts of information from numerous sources, then compiling it into detailed profiles that can be sold to advertisers, political campaigns, or even other governments. It's a silent, massive market where your digital footprint becomes a valuable commodity. The challenge here is that existing laws and regulations have struggled to keep pace with the rapid advancement of AI and data collection technologies. While some regions have implemented stricter data privacy laws like the GDPR in Europe, their reach is not universal, and the global nature of data means that information can flow across borders. This leaves individuals in many parts of the world with limited recourse. Beyond the small act of clicking reject all on those cookie pop-ups on websites, those fleeting moments of resistance, there's often not a lot you can do to stop data broker companies from selling your personal data. It feels like a small barrier against a rising tide, a gesture more symbolic than truly effective. The alternative often involves a quiet, persistent effort. You could embark on the arduous process of getting those companies to delete your information, navigating labyrinthine privacy policies and bureaucratic hurdles. Or more broadly, you could choose to campaign to governments, to lend your voice to the call for new tighter restrictions to be put in place to draw clearer legal and ethical boundaries around your digital self. To advocate for a calmer, more private digital existence. I mean, that's not such a bad idea, is it? To push for a future where the balance between pervasive observation and personal freedom is more carefully and thoughtfully struck. It's a quiet, yet vital conversation that society must have as AI continues to expand its reach. The question of oversight becomes even more pressing when we consider the potential for unintended consequences or biases within AI systems, particularly those operating with high autonomy and in classified environments. If AI is given the power to make decisions or to strongly influence them based on patterns, it identifies what happens if those patterns are flawed or if the data it learns from contains hidden biases. An AI might, for instance, learn to identify certain population groups as higher risk based on historical data that itself reflects systemic inequalities leading to unfair or discriminatory outcomes, even if the AI itself has no malicious intent. This silent algorithmic bias is a profound challenge, as it can perpetuate and amplify existing societal problems, often without human awareness. The ethical framework around the development and deployment of such powerful AI, especially in sensitive areas like national security, is still in its nascent stages. There's a quiet urgency to establish clear guidelines, robust auditing mechanisms, and transparent accountability for the decisions made by these autonomous systems. Otherwise, we risk creating powerful digital entities whose actions, though seemingly logical to them, could have unforeseen and potentially harmful impacts on human lives and societies. The balance between allowing AI to achieve its potential and ensuring its operations align with human values is a delicate tightrope walk requiring constant vigilance and thoughtful contemplation. So, as we reflect on the implications of AI's omnipresence, we find ourselves at a crossroads. On one path lies the promise of enhanced security, groundbreaking scientific discovery, and unparalleled efficiency. On the other, the quiet erosion of privacy, the potential for algorithmic bias, and the challenge of maintaining human control over increasingly autonomous systems. It's a complex landscape, one that requires not just technological advancement, but also deep philosophical introspection and robust societal dialogue. The very air hums with these unfolding possibilities, inviting us to ponder the quiet revolution that is already reshaping the contours of our personal and collective futures. As we gently acknowledge the quiet omnipresence of AI and the profound implications it holds for our privacy and security, it is crucial that we also turn our gaze to the inherent vulnerabilities, the subtle imperfections that can exist even within the most powerful of these digital minds. For even the most sophisticated tool is ultimately only as good as its design, its data, and the human wisdom that guides it. This is where we explore the risks and limitations of powerful AI, recognizing that they are not infallible, but rather brilliant instruments that can sometimes produce discordant notes. Imagine AI as a magnificent, intricately crafted instrument capable of producing the most sublime symphonies of data analysis and prediction. It can hear melodies in the data that are utterly imperceptible to human ears, harmonies of correlation that predict the future. But sometimes even the finest instrument, if tuned imperfectly or if played without complete understanding, can produce jarring notes. I'm not talking about some terrifying Skynet scenario, not a dramatic uprising of machines with malevolent intent. Instead, what naturally happens when AI gets powerful enough that humans will genuinely struggle to check its workings, to fully understand the intricate logic behind its conclusions, to precisely verify its truth. Consider the quiet tragedy of the Horizon accounting system in the UK. This was not a system designed for espionage or grand predictions, but for the mundane yet vital task of managing post office accounts. Yet it became the centerpiece of a devastating scandal. The system incorrectly accused about 900 employees of theft and fraud, painting them as criminals in a quiet, digital trial. Many of these employees were prosecuted, their lives utterly shattered, their reputations irrevocably damaged, simply because the post office, with an unwavering, almost blind faith, assumed that the information Horizon was giving it was absolutely correct and infallible truth. The machine had spoken, and its word was taken as law even when human intuition and undeniable discrepancies whispered otherwise. This tragic saga serves as a somber reminder of the dangers of placing uncritical trust in algorithmic outputs, highlighting that even seemingly simple systems can go profoundly wrong with devastating human consequences. It's like building a grand clockwork mechanism, but forgetting to check if the hands are truly telling the correct time. Another poignant example comes from New Zealand, where a woman was incorrectly identified as a shoplifter by facial recognition software. The software, in its quiet logic, struggled to precisely identify men and women of color, leading to a false positive, a tragic misidentification born of algorithmic bias. This was not a deliberate act of discrimination by the AI, but a flaw in its training data, a reflection of the inherent biases that can creep into the information used to teach these systems. If the AI is primarily trained on datasets that predominantly feature certain demographics, it may struggle with accuracy when encountering others. This silent algorithmic bias is a profound challenge, as it can perpetuate and amplify existing societal inequalities, often without human awareness, subtly weaving injustice into the fabric of daily life. These examples underscore a crucial point. AI is only as good as the data it learns from and the parameters it's given. If the data is incomplete, biased, or simply wrong, then the AI's conclusions, no matter how logically derived, will also reflect those flaws. Imagine a student who is taught only from a biased textbook. No matter how brilliant they are, their understanding will be skewed. Similarly, AI tasked with making scientific discoveries could quietly make similar mistakes, warping our understanding of the universe instead of truly enhancing it, leading us down paths of flawed knowledge. The very tools meant to illuminate truth could inadvertently cast shadows of misunderstanding. Furthermore, AI can just as easily ignore important information if it's been taught consciously or unconsciously to disregard those things, or if its programmed parameters do not account for certain types of phenomena. Consider the curious case of the alleged Chinese spy balloon caught flying over the US in 2023. When this large, slow-moving object traversed American airspace, officials initially realized that their radar systems, which are themselves highly sophisticated AI-enhanced tools, were set to detect things moving at the speed of missiles, fast, aggressive, high-priority threats. They were designed to perceive objects that moved with the urgency of a stone skipping rapidly across water. But they were not programmed to detect small and slow things, like balloons which simply drifted above the threshold of their attention. Like a quiet feather floating in the wind, deemed insignificant by the system's focus. This was a profound blind spot. When they adjusted their settings, when they quietly told their systems to look for other kinds of movement, for objects that behaved in an unusual, unthreatening manner, by previous standards, several other balloon-like objects suddenly showed up on their radars and were subsequently shot down. Although not all of these later objects were necessarily spy balloons, some were likely civilian or weather-related, it did quietly prove that an object that behaves in an unusual way that doesn't fit the expected pattern of a threat or a benign object can sail right past the artificial systems designed specifically to watch out for them. It's a powerful reminder that AI might be very good at answering questions it is asked, but it is not so good yet at knowing what questions to ask, at discerning the truly novel and unexpected, at looking for what falls outside its predefined categories. This limitation speaks to the challenge of bias in data and in programming. If an AI is trained on a dataset where certain types of events or objects are underrepresented, or if its algorithms are narrowly defined, it will inevitably develop blind spots. It's like a painter who has only ever seen landscapes and is then asked to paint a portrait. They may miss the nuances of human expression simply because their training has not prepared them for it. This can be particularly problematic for classified AI, where the specifics of their training data and algorithmic design are hidden from public scrutiny. What happens if these powerful AI programs do not have sufficient oversight, if they operate in a quiet, unscrutinized void? What biases and assumptions could quietly creep in, particularly for classified AI that not many people are scrutinizing, whose inner workings remain hidden from view? It's a concerning thought, a quiet worry that hums beneath the surface of our progress. Without external review, without human minds, constantly questioning and probing its internal logic, an AI system, no matter how advanced, could drift into erroneous patterns of thought, making decisions based on faulty premises or consistently overlooking crucial information. It's like setting a ship on autopilot without anyone on the bridge to check its course or adjust for unforeseen storms. This lack of oversight also raises profound questions about accountability. If an autonomous AI makes a decision that leads to a negative outcome, who is responsible? The programmers who built it? The operators who deployed it? The data that trained it? The complexity of these systems makes tracing responsibility a labyrinthine task, blurring the lines of traditional accountability. This is not just a theoretical problem. It has real-world implications, as seen in the Horizon scandal, where the blame was initially placed on human sub-postmasters, rather than the flawed system itself. The ethical framework surrounding the development and deployment of such powerful AI, especially in sensitive areas like national security, is still in its nascent stages. There's a quiet urgency to establish clear guidelines, robust auditing mechanisms, and transparent accountability for the decisions made by these autonomous systems. Otherwise, we risk creating powerful digital entities whose actions, though seemingly logical to them, could have unforeseen and potentially harmful impacts on human lives and societies. The balance between allowing AI to achieve its potential and ensuring its operations align with human values is a delicate tightrope walk, requiring constant vigilance and thoughtful contemplation. These inherent risks and limitations of AI are not reasons to abandon the technology, but rather invitations to approach its development and deployment with greater humility and wisdom. We are building powerful tools capable of immense good, but like any powerful tool, they can also cause unintended harm if not wielded with care and constant attention. The quiet challenge before us is to not only advance the capabilities of AI, but to simultaneously advance our understanding of its limitations and to build the human and societal frameworks necessary to guide its immense power responsibly. It's a continuous journey of learning, adapting, and questioning, ensuring that the brilliant light of AI also casts a clear shadow of caution. As our quiet journey through the intricate world of AI draws to a contemplative close, we find ourselves standing at the edge of a vast and unfolding horizon. We have explored the pervasive gaze of AI from the metallic eyes in orbit to the silent whispers in our devices, understanding how it weaves the threads of our digital lives into an intricate tapestry of data. We have delved into the profound capabilities of systems like Sentient and Oracle of Orbit that not only observes, but predicts and even directs the very instruments of its perception. We have seen its echoes in the commercial sky, grounding its extraordinary power in tangible reality, and gently acknowledged the shifting sands of our privacy in this new data-rich landscape. Finally, we have humbly considered the shadows of imperfection, the risks and limitations that remind us that even the most powerful tools are only as wise as their creators. Now we bring these threads together, acknowledging that AI is here to stay, a permanent interwoven aspect of our modern tapestry. It is not a passing fad or a distant possibility. It is a fundamental shift in how we understand, interact with, and operate within our world. Its presence is as undeniable as the hum of electricity that powers our homes, or the unseen radio waves that carry our voices across vast distances. We cannot simply uninvent it, nor can we wish it away. Instead, we must learn to live with it, to guide its growth, and to understand its profound implications. In this new era, a digital profile is quietly being created about you, whether you consciously participate in it or not. Every search, every click, every transaction, every movement your phone registers, each is a tiny brushstroke in an ever-evolving portrait of your online and offline life. This profile is not static. It is a living entity constantly being updated, refined, and reshaped by the tireless hand of AI. It captures your habits, your preferences, your curiosities, your connections, and even your subtle emotional states, transforming the nuances of your human existence into quantifiable data points. It's a mirror held up by algorithms, reflecting back to the digital realm, a version of yourself that is constantly being observed and understood. And without proper laws and regulations being gently put into place, there's not a lot you can do to stop data broker companies from selling your personal data, from trading in the quiet whispers of your life. These unseen merchants of information operate in the shadows, acquiring vast amounts of information from numerous sources, from public records to loyalty programs, from social media to purchase histories, then compiling it into detailed profiles that can be sold to advertisers, political campaigns, or even other entities. This industry operates largely unseen, its massive market, built upon the commodification of your digital footprint. Beyond the small act of clicking reject all on those cookie pop-ups on websites, those fleeting moments of resistance, a mere gesture against a rising tide, there's often little recourse for individuals. It feels like a small barrier against a vast flowing river, a gesture more symbolic than truly effective in reclaiming the quiet sanctuary of personal information. The alternative often involves a quiet, persistent effort. You could embark on the arduous process of getting those companies to delete your information, navigating labyrinthine privacy policies and bureaucratic hurdles, a journey that can feel like trying to find a single grain of sand on a vast beach. Or more broadly, you could choose to campaign to governments to lend your voice to the call for new, tighter restrictions to be put in place to draw clearer legal and ethical boundaries around your digital self, to advocate for a calmer, more private digital existence where the human right to privacy is paramount. I mean, that's not such a bad idea, is it? To push for a future where the balance between pervasive observation and personal freedom is more carefully and thoughtfully struck, ensuring that the technology serves humanity rather than humanity serving the technology. The profound ability of AI like Sentient to troll through all of that raw information, along with a host of satellite footage, communication intercepts, financial records, and countless other sources, to then attempt to predict what will happen in the future, to anticipate the unfolding of events, is truly remarkable. To see it take those predictions and then, with quiet authority, send satellites to key locations to gather even more data to see if those predictions were correct, only to refine its understanding and make even more predictions based on the new data. Well, it's certainly a powerful tool. A slightly chilling powerful tool, perhaps, in its cold efficiency and ceaseless vigilance. It possesses a form of foresight that approaches the ethereal, yet is grounded in the concrete realities of data. It makes perfect sense why we might want it, why nations would crave such insight, such foresight in a complex and often dangerous world. The promise of preventing conflicts, mitigating disasters, and understanding global shifts before they fully manifest is undeniably compelling. But it will undoubtedly have a profound impact on society, on how we live, how we interact, how we perceive our own privacy and security. The very fabric of our social contracts, our expectations of autonomy and personal space will be challenged and reshaped by this omnipresent intelligence. And perhaps it will have a similar impact one day on our relationship with space, on how we explore and understand the vast cosmos. Imagine AI-driven telescopes autonomously scanning the heavens, identifying anomalies and directing probes to distant exoplanets, all without direct human intervention at every step. Such a future could accelerate scientific discovery at an unimaginable pace, allowing us to unlock the universe's secrets faster than ever before. But it would also fundamentally alter our role in that exploration, transforming us from primary explorers to distant observers of AI-orchestrated discovery. The quiet wonder of gazing at the stars might be joined by the quiet hum of machines doing the gazing for us and interpreting the findings in ways we can barely comprehend. Perhaps with its unparalleled predictive capabilities, the only one who will truly see what that ultimate impact on society will be is sentient itself. It's a humbling and perhaps unsettling thought that the most comprehensive understanding of our collective future might reside not within human minds, but within the silent, ever-learning algorithms of a non-human intelligence. It stands as a testament to our boundless ingenuity and a profound invitation to ponder the path we are quietly carving into the future, a path where the lines between human and machine, known and unknown, are forever intertwined. Well, that's all we have time for today. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this quiet podcast on the sentient AI and its satellites. If you like what you've heard, or at least enjoyed a little existential dread, please feel free to follow us for more podcasts on other fascinating space or Earth topics. But for now, I'm your gentle guide, and this has been a whisper in the astrosphere. All the best, and see you next time.